I'm going to read to you a couple of important things that Kirby said during the press conference on Monday, which I think is indicative of where he's gotten the program. Listen, there, Kirby's not always gotten it right. He just hasn't. I don't think anybody thinks he has. But when you take a step back and you look where he is in terms of building a program, and really it's not different than building a business. I understand some of that myself, that things don't come easy. And often it takes time to get things where they need to be. But these are the important quotes from yesterday that I want to talk about just for a second. He said, "I'm really pleased with how hard our guys have worked and strained." Strain is a huge word for him. Working is one thing. Straining to become better, get your body where you really need it to be. Strain is a huge word for Kirby and company because strain, in many ways, is the difference between winning the national championship and coming up a play short. I mean, I hate to be that kind of blunt about it, but that's hurt Georgia in the past. And this year, I mean, I don't know that Alabama didn't strain in the national championship game, but Georgia, it's becoming more common for them to strain, which is really important. Here's another thing that he said: we're certainly not ready completely. Excuse me, we're certainly not completely ready for Oregon. We shouldn't be. We have other things to do to get ready. We've got a lot of situational football, yada yada yada. But this is an important thing that he says right now. I'm pleased with where we're at, and it's time to lock in and finish up the prep we got started last week. So we basically have had an off week here, and Georgia is coming off a bye. They did their fall camp, they did the scrimmages and all that. And Kirby talks about how, last week, for those of you who don't really know, um, they didn't go Sunday at all. So it's the camp part of things is over, um, and it was much more like an off week than in the past. But now they are, let's see, at this point when you're watching this, another about 5 hours into practice for Oregon, and they have about another, you know, we had 20 hours. Maybe they'll just say there's 6 hours more into it. But today and tomorrow are the critical days of practice to get ready for games. But what's so important here is they've gotten a lot of the work done leading into this week. So if you have a program and you are teaching younger players as you go, for instance, you look at Pop, right? Dumas Johnson. He's learning everything he needed to do a year ago before he was playing. He knows what he's going to be doing in the fall, period. So that's not an issue for him. They are fine tuning things right now. But this is really the most important line from Kirby on Monday. He said, and he was talking about, comparatively speaking, he was saying Oregon's a good team. He said, we know we got a really good program. You damn right. I'm not sure. I think Alabama and Georgia are at a level the likes of which in the South nobody else is with. God bless Clemson. They're really good. They have a different monster on their hand each week than what Bama and Georgia typically deal with. Uh, you know, now this is not about Clemson, but they open against Georgia Tech, and then they have about a month to get ready for their clash against NC State and Wake Forest, who doesn't have their starting quarterback. Those are games you should win. So we'll just see how Clemson progresses. Ohio State, I think, is generally speaking in the same ballpark as Georgia and Alabama. I think it's those three and then everybody else. Ohio State's definitely opening up with a big game. And Alabama has a big game in, what, 10 days, something like that, when they're at Texas. Fox is about to lose their mind over that game. I mean, the promotion is superb. They are getting the marketing job done over my old friends at News Corporation. So Alabama will have their test, but these three teams that everybody thinks is there is a tier, and then there's a drop, and then there's everybody else. So tier one, if those three teams are good, we should know it this weekend, or excuse me, in the next 10 days. We should know it. Georgia opens with Oregon. They should win that game. Ohio State is hosting Notre Dame. They should win that game. And then Alabama goes to Texas. Ain't no doubt they should win that game. Make sure you're picking up DAWGSTRUCTION. You can read the behind-the-scenes story of Georgia's 2021 national championship. We'll see y'all in Indy. There were a lot of signs that we captured through the year. That's a great image. These are, the frigid night in excuse me, I'm about to say Birmingham, in Jackson, in Indianapolis. I much would have preferred to play that national championship game in Florida. We have that game in here too against Michigan. Georgia's 2021 season will not be soon forgotten. Make sure you've got your commemorative book. If you want me to sign it for you, I'd be glad to do so. We've got some news on the book coming up soon, so stay tuned for that. Kirby's program is a very good program. And I was listening to one of these hype videos earlier today. Somebody put it on the message board over at Dog Post. And one thing he said is, we're not preparing to beat anybody. We're preparing to beat everybody. And, the difficult part about dealing with Kirby in many ways is what, he's a transactional person. What does dealing with the media do for me? And the answer is usually something. He's talking to us. He's contractually obligated to, but what does it get him? What is the point? But with the players, it's not dissimilar necessarily, and that's not to suggest he doesn't love the players. But what are you going to do to get us where we need to go? And where we need to go is to another national championship game. We need to hoist another trophy. That's where his mindset is. How does this get us better? So why do you schedule the Oregon game? To get you better. That's the point of these games, is to load in, lock up, as Gary Stoken would say, play against All-Americans in week 1. And you're going to get that if you're the Dogs. Okay, you have the chance to play against Oregon in week 1. But we are a good program. And let me sure I read it exactly what he said. And this is the full quote. Okay, he says, "We know we got a really good program. Mario Cristobal, the former Oregon coach, is a good friend of mine. And he's done a great job recruiting players to Oregon. And Dan Lanning has taken those guys, and by watching what they did in the spring game, knowing the intensity and the organization, the leadership Dan has, they're going to be a hell of a team. They've got a lot of good football players on their team." So he's saying, we know we got a really good program. They're going to be a hell of a team, talking about Oregon. They are not where Georgia is at right now. They have some he's right. They do have good players. And I'm trying to, I don't know if this game's going to be like Georgia Kentucky a year ago or Georgia Auburn. I'd be pretty shocked if it was like the SEC championship game, but it's in the same building, and I do have people inside the Georgia program that kind of they want to get a win at the Dome. They would like to get a win at the Dome. I remember a Georgia person who I've known for a very long time gets their paycheck from the athletics department, said, we just got to get out of this building, and talking about playing Alabama, and they did, and they won the national championship. But they are going to need to get back to the Dome. That's Georgia's home away from home. They have played there every single season Kirby has been at Georgia, sometimes twice. So you're not going to avoid the Dome. You better get used to playing there. And when you play there, you're playing in big games. This game's a big game. It's not a rivalry. God, everything's a rivalry these days. It's not a rivalry, fellas. It's not a rivalry, ladies. It's not what it is. Georgia has 3 rivals. I'm not going to get started on all that. But this is a great opportunity for Georgia to see where they're at. See where they're at on the offensive line with the guards. That could be an in-game adjustment. See where they are with the inside linebackers. See where they're legitimately at with the front 7. I think during the scrimmages, we saw a lot of stuff you're not going to necessarily see in in the fall. Dan Lanning last night was very complimentary of the skill set of Jalen Carter, which he should be. I mean, Jalen Carter is an excellent football player, but when you look at where Georgia's at right now, and the systematic's maybe the wrong word, the consistent march forward for Georgia under Kirby has been something that was needed a long time ago. Kirby Smart is not the only person that is capable of being an extremely successful coach at Georgia. He's just the one that did it lately. And the next one, it'll be harder, whoever that person is, but that person should have success too. And I think what was missing at Georgia was an understanding of just how powerful the athletic department should be in everything. I mean, Kirby's talking about it now. I've been talking about this for 20 years. I mean, there's kind of no excuse for Georgia not to be dominant at not just football. Mike White, we've not talked. My friend, when we talk, I'm going to say that to you. There's no excuse for Georgia not to be in the Final Four in the next, I don't know, 5 years, something like that. There's nothing holding this program back, just an athletic department, I should say. And Kirby, I think, finally pushed through and got Jerry Moorhead to understand that in a way that, or the Board of Regents, or Greg, or whoever. I mean, I think if you were to give Josh Brooks truth serum, he would say the same thing, that we don't, I don't know, and then boom, you gotta go for it. You have to. And if you don't have that vision, you won't have the titles. And that goes for sports, business. You will not have the success unless you really go for it and do it in the right way every single day. This is a really good program from the Dogs. We're going to just see how good on Saturday night.